Hi all, I'm T. Shaktishri, Assistant Professor of Information Technology of Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology. In this video, we are going to learn about the various types of data that are being used in data warehouse. In this video, we are going to learn what is the need to study about data, what is a data object, and what an attribute is, and what are the various types of attributes that are there available in the data warehouse. Now let us see the need to study about data. The need to study about data puts us different types of questions in front of us. The various questions are: what are the types of attributes or fields that make up your data? What kind of values does each attribute have? Which attributes are discrete and which are continuous valued? What do the data look like and how the values are distributed? And are there any ways we can visualize the data to get a better sense? And is there any outliers? And how can we measure the similarity of data objects with respect to each other? So we have these different types of questions in front of us. So to answer all these questions, first of all, we have to understand what a data is and how the data has been represented. First, let us start with a data object. Data sets are made up of data object, and we can call a data object to represent an entity. An entity can be represented or it can be denoted as a data object. Examples are sales database. In sales database, the different types of data objects are going to be customer, storing items, and then sales. And when it comes to medical database, the different types of data objects are going to be patient and treatments. And in university database, the various kinds of data objects are student, professors, and courses. We can call this data object to be samples, examples, instances, data points, objects, and tuples. Data objects are described by attributes, and in normal relational database, we can term like data objects represents rows and columns represents the attributes. Here, data object is represented in terms of a relational database table, where in each row it represents an object and the column represents the attributes. The attributes are being defined and we are need to know what kind of data these attributes are going to store. For that, we have to study about the attributes and what is an attribute and what are the various types of attributes we have. Let us see what an attribute is. The other names for attributes, we can call it as dimensions, features, or variables. To simply put it up, an attribute is going to represent the characteristics or feature of a data object. For example, in a customer table, the customer ID, name, and address, all these things can be represented or all these things can be termed as an attribute. A collection of attributes describe an object, and attribute values or numbers or symbols assigned to an attribute. Observed values for a given attribute are also known as observations. A set of attributes used to describe a given object is called an attribute vector, and the distribution of data involving one attribute is called univariate, and if it involves two attributes then it is called as bivariate, and if it contains more attributes also. The various types of attributes that can be used in data warehouse are nominal, binary, numeric. So these are all the three common things, and in numeric all the quantitative values can be represented in terms of numeric, and it has again been divided into interval scaled and ratio scaled attributes. Let us see the first type of attribute, nominal attribute. The values of a nominal attributes are symbols or just the names of things. Each value represents some kind of category, code, or state, and nominal attributes can also be referred as categorical attributes. These attributes do not have any meaningful order. Some examples of nominal attributes are marital status. For the marital status, we can have the values to be single, married, divorced, and widowed. Similarly, for hair color, we can have the different kinds of colors to be the values of nominal attributes. As nominal attributes do not have any meaningful order about them and they are not quantitative. So we don't have any sense to find the mean or median value for such an attribute. However, we will be able to find attributes most commonly occurring value, which we normally call it to be the mode value. The next type of attribute is binary attribute. By the name, we can understand that these attributes are a special kind of nominal attributes where it can have only two states, either 0 or 1. Right? So a binary attribute is symmetric if both of its states are equally valuable and carry the same weight. Example, the attribute gender having the states male and female. A binary attribute is asymmetric if the outcomes of the states are not equally important. Examples of symmetric binary attributes are positive and negative outcomes of a medical test. By convention, we can code the most important outcome, which is usually the rarest one, by 1 and the other by 0. In this example, we can code COVID positive to be 1 and COVID negative to be 0. Next, we are going to see about ordinal attribute. In ordinal attribute, it can have possible values that have a meaningful order or ranking among them, but the magnitude between successive values is not known. For example, if we take an ordinal attribute of a drink size, which corresponds to the size of drinks available at a fast food restaurant, the attribute can have three possible values like small, medium, and large. The values have a meaningful sequence like from increasing order. However, we cannot tell from the values how much bigger, say a medium is than a large, right? So we don't have a distinction between how large the two things are going to be, but we can order the attributes in order. Other examples of ordinal attributes includes grades and professional ranking. Professional ranking can be encountered in a sequential order. For example, assistant, associate, professors, and private. All these things can be called as your ordinal attribute example. Ordinal attributes are most often used in surveys. In customer survey satisfaction or customer satisfaction survey, will be making use of ordinal attributes like very disappointed, somewhat disappointed, neutral, satisfied, and very satisfied, for which we can give a ranking, but we will not be able to differentiate it with the magnitude. The central tendency of an ordinal attribute can be represented by its mode and its median, that is the middle value in an ordered sequence, but the mean cannot be defined. Now we are going to see about the numeric attribute types. In numeric attribute types, we have two things. One is interval scale and then ratio scale. The quantity can be either in terms of an integer or a real valued values, right? So in interval scale, it can be measured on a scale of equal sized units and values have order. Examples of these things include temperature in degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit and calendar dates, or those examples of interval scale. Ratio scale, inherent 0 point. We can speak of values as being an order of magnitude larger than the unit of measurement. Example, temperature in Kelvin, length, count, height, age. All these things can be called as an example of a ratio scaled attribute. The central tendency of an interval scaled and ratio scaled attribute can be represented by its mode, its median, and its mean. Getting to the properties of attribute values. The type of an attribute can be determined or it can be concluded with the help of the properties it possesses. The four main properties here are going to be distinctiveness, order, addition, and then multiplication. Nominal attribute just possess distinctness, and ordinal attributes have distinctness and order. And interval scale have distinctness, order, and addition, and ratio attributes possess all the four properties. All the attribute types have been commonly categorized into qualitative and quantitative. Categorical attributes are termed as qualitative and numerical attributes are termed as quantitative. Nominal and ordinal attributes are collectively referred to as categorical or qualitative attributes. The examples of qualitative attributes can be something like employee ID, and it lacks most of the properties of numbers. Even if they are represented by numbers, integers, they should be treated more like symbols. Mean of values does not have any meaning over here. Interval and ratio scale are commonly referred to as quantitative or numeric attributes, and quantitative attributes are represented by numbers and have most of the properties of numbers. Note that quantitative attributes can be integer valued or continuous, and numeric operations such as mean, standard deviation, mean, median, everything can be possible when we get into the quantitative attribute. The next common classification of attributes can be termed as discrete and continuous attribute. By the name, we can understand that discrete attributes has only a finite or countable finite set of values. Examples like zip codes, profession, or the set of words in a collection of documents, customer ID, infinite, but it can also be countable, sometimes represented as integer variables also. Binary attributes are a special case of discrete attributes where we just have only two possible kinds of values over there. Continuous attributes. Continuous attributes has real numbers or attribute values, and examples of continuous attributes are temperature, height, or weight. Practically, real values can only be measured and represented using a finite number of digits. Continuous attributes are typically represented as a floating point variables. I hope in this video you might have got an understanding about what a data is and how a data has been represented with the help of a different types of attributes, and what are the various types of data attributes available with its specific properties. Thank you.